one bourbon, one beer, one scotch, one bourbon, one beer. Please, Mr. Bartender, listen here. I ain't here for trouble, so please have no fear. One scotch, one bourbon, one beer. I don't want soda, no bubble gum. You got what I want, so just serve me some. Since my baby's been gone, everything is lost.
Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of Pitstop, in which we're talking to the founder of the Forza Le Mans series, Mr. James Thomas, aka V12 RIOT. Unfortunately, due to issues with the sound at the start of the interview, the first 7 minutes haven't recorded properly, so we are going to skip the introductions and head straight into the middle of the first question. So yeah, sorry about that guys, but hopefully the rest of it makes up for it.
I'm on this trip and I can't get off. So one scotch, one bourbon, one beer.
So the FLMS has it developed from a small thing between a small group into
first season we had 8 people in total,
which was that was the maximum lobby amount that you can have though. That was a full lobby.
and I don't think we ever had a full lobby. So, well, no, we wouldn't.
Well,
So I think we had probably
close enough to a full lobby, but basically the idea of that idea is carried over from, you know, just a small group of people who wanted to just have like close races. You know,
Yes.
one of whom, which would be, I assume you, who sort of said, well, why don't we do instead of just doing 10 laps of whatever track.
We used to do the Formula 1 series. I actually ran a Formula 1 series before I ran the FLMS.
Yeah.
So that's where Johnny and I met. We got the idea to do the FLMS, and we carried it on from there.
I mean, so from that, it's sort of developed into a, what it is now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's gone from a Formula 1 series that might have been sort of, hey, let's try this out, to what is essentially the Le Mans series on Forza.
I'd like to think so, yeah. I mean, we had sort of 8 people total first season. Last year we probably had over 100 people on the points boards. So,
well, I mean, Sebring this year had
40.
at least in qualifying it had a hell of a lot of like.
It's hard work organising the lobbies, I can tell you that.
That's why you pass that on Canadians love that stuff. They're too nice. But yeah, so it's gone from sort of essentially it's gone from, I don't know if is it fair to say it's gone from sort of your passion to being sort of something that you're. I mean, it's gone from you loving endurance racing. I assume you enjoyed endurance racing prior to making the series.
Yeah.
You didn't just sort of think, yeah, well, I mean, I want to like endurance racing, so I'll make a series. You liked it beforehand, I assume.
Yeah, I love Le Mans. I mean, one of my earliest memories is watching the Toyota GT1s at Le Mans in an airport, actually, on TV. I remember sort of with my dad asking what's going on. What are these nutters doing in France for 24 hours?
Your dad, who in the future has ended up sleeping while my dad also slept, and we had to sit in a stand at Le Mans, cold. So yeah, that's what he wanted to do.
Could be worse.
Good noise. There are many worse things, but essentially it's gone from, it's still like a passion of yours to have,
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
the whole reason you're running the series because you love endurance racing, and that's like the thing that's driving you. But it's gone from.
That's the reason I still play Forza. But
it's gone from 8.
I don't do a lot else.
It's gone from being 8 people, who all know each other well and race regularly, to the point where it's, you've got a whole forum of drivers who. Many of whom hate Ferrari, and the fact that the very fact that I've said Ferrari so many times since we started this,
it's not a good crowd, is it?
Is reason to stop Mitch listening but
any
you know,
further. Admit, I know. He's
but
gonna be
he
crying.
he's a good guy. He secretly likes Ferrari. Everyone does. But yeah, it's gone from sort of one end of the spectrum to the other. Because I think it's fair to say that Forza isn't it's not the most popular game on Xbox Live.
I mean, COD. I don't know.
I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't play anything else.
well,
So
no, well, I know.
you tell me.
Turn 10 kind of didn't do. They kind of screwed up, and a lot of people saw bought Forza and thought, yeah, you know what,
Yeah.
it's the matchmaking's not working, whatever. So the people who left on Forza are sort of the racing fans, I guess.
Yeah, I think so a lot because I mean you used to have a lot of hot lapping. I'm in V12, which is a massive hot lapping team,
Should have thrown
and
that out there before. The
um,
sole member of V12.
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we were a very large team, top of fraud stats, all that, and I think the hot lapping community really suffered with the game for a number of reasons, especially V12 teams like that. I mean, the only existing members, I don't, are there is there more? I don't know. I mean, I race now, and I'm pretty much the only one who still plays the game. So, people have just the only reason the game's still played is people have banded together in racing communities because
Yeah.
there's very little else to do. I think it's been forgotten,
Well,
but I mean,
I
hopefully that
mean,
gets
off
fixed
off the
soon.
top of my head, there's virtual motorsports for sort of the
Yeah,
all
yeah.
round.
There's some really great series out.
VM's the sort of all round thing. VTCC's if you want touring cars specifically, you know,
And Rusty does it.
Rusty knows what he's doing with touring cars, and that
Yeah,
is
definitely.
he knows how they work. That's like the Premier Touring Car series. Tourer is sort of again, it's like VM. It's got
Toro's got a
it's sort of a mix of.
Toro have worked really hard, and I think their media department is pretty special.
Oh yeah, it's like they're pushing it a lot further than
No, they're definitely pushing the
they
boundaries.
they make me feel bad because I feel I should be doing more, but we'll ignore them for the moment because you know this isn't about them. And but I mean, you've got VTCC's touring car, VM and Tourer that sort of do everything, and they
Yeah,
do everything quite well, but they do everything, so it's not as focused. And then there's the FLMS at like you know the whole other end of the spectrum that is like if you want endurance racing, that's sort of where you should go
you
because I
should.
mean it's
Should.
like a
We want you.
we want you. Um, i- it's sort of a no holds barred kind of. It's not like a well, you know,
It's a hardcore. I mean, there's
you
no
think
two ways about it.
yeah, it's one of
Sitting
those.
on your ass for 3 hours hurts
Well, no,
like
but it's that,
mentally.
and it's one of those sort of if you turn up and say, yeah, my car's really slow here, you've balanced cars wrong. Well, no, this
Well,
track's
no,
bad for the cars. We're not going.
we're
We're not.
talking about balancing.
I'm not bringing balance up because I know you don't like the whole. And
People should
we'll
just
avoid the topic entirely, but essentially, it's you know every car has its track, every dog has its day.
Well, no,
But
not even that. I
overall,
completely disagree. The way I've balanced the car, you're getting me into it now.
oh,
But the,
don't
the,
make me
the,
feel bad about this.
the philosophy behind it, right, is it's very difficult with the tools given to us by turn 10 in terms of balancing. We only have tyres, power, and restrictions on the grip. Those are the only tools we have available to us with the racing cars. And
Yeah.
so trying to balance that, we don't have many options. We only have 4 groups, for example. But with that said, the way we actually balance, so the process we go through, I don't want to bore people, but the process, first of all, we get the acceleration even as best as possible. So we're talking between sort of 40 miles an hour to about 150, because at around 160, the sort of, I call it the second tier phase of the drag kicks in. So
Yeah.
the sort of you can tell the difference between an Aston Martin in GT and a Corvette, because just suddenly the Corvette goes whoosh down the road. So you get the acceleration done. So that's all about the power. Then once you have that, you get the top speed. So it's all about the power first. Once you have the power right, you can then look at lap times, because the only difference should be coming from braking and cornering. There's not a lot you can do about braking, unfortunately. And so you just have to try and balance it with tyres. A few more tyres on the front can help brake sometimes. Tyres on the rear, cornering, you just try and balance it from there. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds arrogant, but I think I'm proud of what we've done. I don't think anyone out there does
I
this
think
job
I think the amount of time, I mean, you know,
That doesn't mean we can be complacent, though. I mean,
I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I would say is that, I mean, other series say, yeah, we have, you know, we're gonna run 7 or 8 different. We're gonna do touring cars, an endurance series. We're gonna do this season. The FLMS is literally, if you, we're doing this. This is our sort of thing. You know, you know, this is the cars we've spent hours and hours and hours making these cards for this series. This is all we're doing. It's very much it's much more focused than
yeah,
a lot of.
it means we're very different. I don't think there are many other series that just focus on the one sort of. We definitely have one rule spec. I'm not going to say we have one series because we've actually got something in the mix. Nobody knows. Johnny doesn't even know about this.
I don't.
But
Well, you've not told me about this. I mean, I'm meant to be
it's-
interviewing you, but you're telling me things.
we'll keep that quiet. Actually, I'm not here to do any sort of crazy.
I can't edit that out. That'll have to be a spoiler. So, guys, you know,
Guys, you didn't hear
be
that.
ready. Shit's. Sorry.
Sorry.
Stuff's coming.
Oh, yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's that. No more rules. That's it. Admin done. Gone.
Well, I mean, for this season at least, you know, I think it's fair to say. I mean, looking at the results, I'm not going to tab out because I'll mess everything up. But essentially, it's very balanced especially in GT, which is what I've been focusing on this year. Obviously, driving for Ferrari, I've been focusing on GT. It's like in terms of the constructors, essentially, it's extremely close.
Yeah.
It's not like Ferrari are leading by
I mean,
1,000 points or.
You look at the races. We've had Porsches, Ferraris. I mean, we had BMW. So Porsche, Ferrari, BMW have all won races. Corvette have been on pole. They've been in position to fight for wins. Unfortunately, they haven't so far. I say unfortunately. I'm not a Ferrari driver, but then you've got Viper, who have been so consistent. I think they're actually up until maybe third, fourth in the constructors. So I mean, they're banging on the door. They complain a little bit, but they're not actually that far off. So you can't really be complacent. And you look at Audi, Peugeot recently, and Lola as well in P1. Toyota have got so many podiums. I mean, it's wide open. And then I can keep going. I mean, GTC and P2. Like you've got what? Mitch needs to stop sleeping in, and then McLaren and GTC results.
Well, he complains that they never win, but he never wakes up.
Yeah.
So, you know, it.
What can you say?
We're not turning this into a witch hunt, but Mitch, if you wake up, you know. James is giving you a sign of faith. You know, this is a vote of confidence. He expects you to win.
Yeah. And you'll get a podium. You heard it here first. Is it? I think he has a podium, but.
Okay, you'll get one from the future.
Yeah, you get more.
It's fine. It'll all work out.
Sorry.
But yeah, essentially, it has become. I mean, you don't have to worry about balancing several series.
No, well, that's what I want. I don't want people to be driving. See, you go to another series and you drive your car. What you do is you test the cars because you drive the fastest car because you want to win. Naturally, everyone wants to win. I don't want that in this series because you all know, everyone who's listening to this knows me, and they know that I'm a very passionate person. I drive Ferrari no matter what, and that's because I love Ferraris. I want other people to be driving cars that they love. I don't want you to be driving it because you feel you have to drive this car, otherwise you don't have a chance of winning. I want you to feel that I love, I don't know, smart cars, so I'm going to race a smart car. I mean, not that you can, but get the idea.
But if you could.
Yeah. I love Porsche. I'm racing for Porsche. I love Lola. I'm going to drive a Lola instead of having to drive an Audi or a Peugeot because they're faster. The cars should be equal, so you should have a fair shot at the championship. Not that you want to win the championship, you want to win races because that's more fun.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, I mean, terms. I'm just screwing around with things. There you go. That's better.
Screwing around with things.
So yeah. I want the Ferrari logo on the screen since it seems.
Yeah,
to be
you
on the
definitely screen. That sounds like a great thing to have.
There we go. So yeah, basically to continue from where we were. I mean, do you want to give us a bit of a background on you and Ferrari? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone who races in the series knows that like they know that you like Ferrari, but I mean, do you want to give us sort of how did the whole love of Ferrari begin? How's it
My
gone? How long has it
really
lasted in
strange
the
story.
FLMS?
Honestly, nobody had asked me this, and I hadn't really thought about why I like Ferrari until probably during 2009. I think somebody asked me for a project um, in school actually about an art project why I like Ferrari, and I honestly have to think very hard. It's a difficult question. I don't have a clue, to be honest. I mean, the best answer I can possibly give you is being a motorsport enthusiast. I watched Formula One, and through the 90s, there was a certain bright red Ferrari that caught my attention, being driven by a certain Mr. Schumacher, and I think that seeing that, I mean, that bright red Ferrari standing out from the dull silver cars, all the other cars. I don't even know what other cars race in Formula One. That bright red Ferrari, just the way Schumacher. I'm a huge Schumacher fan. Um,
Really?
yeah, and I know you don't, but he was probably the best. Well, he was the best driver. Sorry, Alex.
And we're ending this right now. And
Oh,
rest in
oh,
peace, Ayrton
fuck
Senna.
off.
It's the anniversary of his death, James.
It's
Today,
not. Is it? Well, it's
right
not
now.
today. It is today. It's
You
past
can't
mid.
say that. But yeah.
So yeah, no. I think it probably comes from Michael Schumacher in the 90s. That's the best answer I can give you. Because
Fair
Ferrari
enough.
that went on because Fiat are nasty people. But we won't get into that because I'll just rant, and then I'll get into Ford, and
that's
it'll get messy.
that's
You'll have
that
to mute
that's
me.
that's the point of this, though, James. I mean, people don't want to hear the sort of I prepared this in advance answered. You know, rant about Ferrari and Ford.
No, you don't want to hear that. It'll just Mitch will turn off. We don't want to lose Mitch.
Hey,
We've got to keep him going.
Mitch will watch it because you've just said he'll turn off, so he'll want to listen to what you have to say. It'll make him turn off, so you should rant about Ferrari.
Yeah.
Come on, the whole
You want
thing's
to
about
rant
you.
about Ferrari? You want to rant about- Oh, don't get me going. You'll be-
The whole thing's about you and Ferrari. That's what this is. It's like you.
You don't want to get me going on this subject.
Okay then. We'll semi skip the subject. Your highlights with Ferrari in the FLMS. What are they?
What are they? Okay, okay.
Excluding, I mean, obviously, we're doing this in the aftermath of Mugello that you just won,
I know. I'm
which
excited.
may be the greatest. You know, you're doing a degree, but we don't care about that because you won Mugello. That
It's the
is,
greatest moment of my life ever.
I mean,
Okay.
having practiced with you,
Highlights.
definitely
Highlights. Highlights.
Mugello, but we'll exclude Mugello for the moment. Your highlights.
Oh, you can't exclude it. I'll get onto it at the end or
We're
something.
getting onto it in the end. For the moment, your highlights prior
Okay.
to Mugello.
Right. First race win. That's pretty big. 2009. So it was my second race at Sebring, a track Ferrari have done really well at up until this year, but we'll talk about this here later. Um, yeah, 2009 at Sebring. That was a really important race for me. Actually, for more than just getting the first win. Obviously, I was racing against that nuisance called Slapia, Polaris, Johnny. Um,
Good old TPR slap,
old
yeah.
thorn in my side. I got pole, so 2009 Sebring, got pole position. At the start of the race, I think Johnny got past me, yeah. We battled, we were quite close for a few laps, but then I got past, and Johnny, I mean, it got past. It was a 75 lap race, because back then on Forza 2 we had it lap limited. And we had a safety car at some point, I can't remember why now. But
Yeah,
basically,
we've
yeah,
we've
Johnny
we've moved back in the world. You had an employed safety car driver, and now we don't have that anymore.
um, Johnny got some damage from lag. He eventually lagged out, so he didn't finish. But during the race, I set my first ever leaderboard top 100 in the Ferrari. I love that. That was a pretty proud moment for me. I think it was 97th, something like that. Really exciting. I was so happy, and so I was really proud of the way I drove, and that getting that first win in a Ferrari at Sebring, such an important race, really was definitely still one of the highlights of my career.
Well, I mean,
Definitely. I mean,
I guess since then Sebring has become. I mean, obviously I wasn't there the very first season, but it's the opening race. It's essentially, the season ends and everyone's like, well, we'll start testing at Sebring. That's like
yeah,
the
yeah.
benchmark for everything.
You work so hard for Sebring every year. I mean, it was slightly different in 2009. We started at Laguna. That's why it was my second race when I made my first victory. At the end of the race, actually, I ended up in a. This will sound absolutely ridiculous, but at the end of the race, I ended up in a battle for second overall with an Audi. So, how I got in that situation, his tyres had gone off because back on Forza 2 you had tyre wear, believe it or not.
Back when they knew how it worked.
Yeah, back when they cared. And I was closing him in at such a rate. And on the last lap, literally the last lap, his tyres went and I got past him to get second overall. Just completely bonkers. So yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights of my career. Looking on from then, I have to say the Le Mans victories mean a huge amount. The first one was 2010 because obviously it was first included on Forza 3. Le Mans wasn't on Forza 2, and that race was special as well because at the start of 2010 I'd really struggled because with Forza 3 the driving characteristics were a lot different. I'm quite an aggressive driver, some might say. I like my cars a tiny bit oversteering. That's probably an
That doesn't
understatement.
help me anymore. But I
No,
mean,
it doesn't help you. But I I really struggled adapting to the way cars drive on Forza 3, and so the first half of the year was a complete write-off. I had sort of a clean sheet going into Le Mans. We had the break, worked really hard over it, and the Ferrari had a significant advantage that year at Le Mans. There's no doubt about it. It had more power than the Porsche. But even so, getting that first win off my chest, and in the way I did as well, I went one lap too long on one of my stints. I can't remember which stint it was now. So I had to crawl around at about 30 miles an hour around the whole track to avoid running out of fuel. And at the time, I remember Bam a lot. Bam was just because he inherited the lead from that, and he was sort of like excited about what had gone
he
on.
was
Why am I
being
going
banned.
slowly? And then so then I got ripped quite badly for being stupid and running out of fuel. Ferrari's running out of fuel. That's not a good topic.
Well,
So I mean,
you and anything that involves pits. I mean, hitting
yeah.
pit
Well,
walls
no,
is
no,
something you should probably
yeah,
avoid here.
yeah. My only race not in a Ferrari. Hit the pit wall at Sebring.
But I mean, those I can't even remember what topic we're on. We
We're
were
on a
on
hot.
highlights. We shouldn't
Not
be
fun.
on. We
I
shouldn't be
had a
ending on
nice
you
race.
hitting pit walls.
Yeah, that's the highlight of my career. No, Le Mans was a really important victory. Like everyone wants to win Le Mans, and I hadn't won a race at all in 2010 until Le Mans. And the great thing about that was it marked like a line down the season. The first half of the season was a write-off. Let's be honest. I think I was miles behind Johnny. The second half of the season, I won 5 races in 5 out of 7, and the last 4 in a row, and that sort of sparked a resurgence.
Yeah.
And we ended up salvaging at Ferrari. We won the manufacturers, which was really important. I mean, we've never lost that, so that's probably the biggest achievement I'm most proud of. But we ended up getting close in the teams and drivers, but missing out by 9 and 10 points. So
I feel I should say. I mean, now I feel incredibly under pressure now that you point out once again that Ferrari never lost that
no,
title. But
that's something I'm hugely proud of. It's
something
such a team.
the other thing that I feel that you'll be proud of, and I'm hoping that for my my FLMS career that you'll be proud enough that you will continue it. Shifty is somewhat of a protege of. I think it's fair to say a protege of yours. I mean, would you disagree with that? I mean,
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
I mean,
so that,
I could have, I destroyed Shifty when he came in, and now he just, it's not even close, and he,
oh, I wouldn't
it's,
go that far. You're a very good driver, but Shifty, Shifty's quite a fast driver nowadays. I remember when he started off, he did a test for Rizzi at Road America in 2010, and initially I had a little bit. There was definitely some talent there. I had a little bit of a doubt, but we worked really hard over that winter. I spent a lot of time with him at Sebring testing. I mean, the natural testing track Sebring, and we worked really hard. I think the first race Sebring, he was 7 or so tenths off me, so he started off about 2 seconds off. We managed to lose about 1.5 seconds over the winter, and then from then onwards, there was he was only a few tenths off me the whole season. And
yeah.
2011, he drove really really well. I was very impressed with the speed
Was it
that he
was it
did.
was 2011 his championship year, or was that 2012?
Yeah, yeah. So 2011 was a trying year for me. I got 6 holes in the first 7 races.
Well, that
I
was your,
retired from pretty much all of them, apart from Nürburgring.
was that not your year of lag outs and bad luck and
Yeah,
crashes and it just.
that's one of the lowest times in my career, definitely.
I mean,
Um,
not taking anything away from Shifty. I mean,
no, I mean, but just to say, Shifty drove incredibly. I mean, he deserved that championship fully. I mean, Johnny and I were between us. I mean, we both had a lot of trouble, but
yeah.
there were races when we didn't. I mean, Road Atlanta, for example, Shifty beat me.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that race. I mean, I wasn't on my top form, but that's no excuse. He won that race fair and square. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
he's
I mean, I'm hoping I can get to the point racing with you that I will be able to beat you in a straight up race, but we'll get to that. You know, that's the aim. I'm using you. You're a platform. Um,
I sounded.
on the topic of you just beating Shifty, though, Shifty unfortunately had issues at Mugello. I don't think you'd deny that he would have challenged you this year.
Well,
If he hadn't at Mugello this year, if Shifty hadn't had problems with his controller, would he have been would he have been close-ish, or do you feel that you would have?
I had that. I don't want to. I'm pretty sure I had that. I mean, the race itself, it was a really exciting race. In qualifying, I was a bit disappointed, and I found what the problem was. If you bear with me.
Was it one of your tunes that was from 2011 not working properly?
No, it was this. Like, yeah, my old headset. Here, this is my. As you can see, that is broken. Right.
Somewhat decrepit old headset.
Yeah, that's pretty broken. And basically, I couldn't hear my car. It sounds.
That's a fair argument. James?
I don't know what happened then.
Sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry. I was just doing a speed test to make sure it wasn't me. It's not.
No, no, I know it. I pulled my internet cable out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is still recording, so if I
Okay, that's fine.
get the camera back up.
When did I drop out?
Fun?
When did I drop out? What had I said?
I
we're talking about Mugello. So
It
the
was
race,
it was something to
yeah.
do with this year at Mugello. I think it was essentially I was just asking if you felt basically it was were you confident that this year was your year? I mean, we were saying Shifty, Shifty was essentially, as I said, to put it
Well, he
in simple
outqualified.
terms, Shifty was your protege. You had Shifty for a year or two. Shifty became incredibly fast from nowhere. Won a
No, we trained
championship.
him. We knew that was not a surprise. Ferrari
Well,
trains drivers. Ferrari is brilliant, etc.
I bloody hope so. But this year, Shifty has joined the dark side.
He
Sh
has. That's terrible. It's betrayal. I'm not very happy.
Shifty and Bourne, we don't
And Bourne. No,
we don't
Bourne.
like
What
them
a
anymore.
terrible
Bourne.
man. He makes me sad.
But I mean, would you say that this year at Mugello was your year? It was Ferrari's.
I felt
No,
like
would you say Shifty couldn't have beaten you regardless of a situation with the control, what his controller did, and
I don't think so. I don't want to sound like arrogant, but I don't think Johnny would have beaten me at Mugello this year. I can say that honestly without feeling too worried. I mean, the race was completely different from qualifying. I changed my headset so I could hear my car. I felt a lot more comfortable with that change, and I got around the outside of Shifty going into turn one, and for the next sort of half an hour, it was. I mean, he drove really well actually. He was pushing me hard. There was probably about 1 to 200 feet between us for the first half hour. So he had the pace, but every sort of now and then he would make the odd mistake. So that second sort of half hour period, he dropped back a few 100 feet more, and I was
yeah,
edging away because of that. And then he had the problem, obviously, about an hour in. So after that, it was a lot more comfortable.
it's such it's a disappointment for me that he's had that problem in Mugello's second time, because I feel like I could have had a podium in the first race at Sebring if I hadn't had my own issues.
Yeah.
His controller should have been helping me, but essentially I've gained nothing from it, and I feel it's worked in the wrong races. But
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
it.
you'll come through. I mean, it's a long season. I need the support though. You do do some.
But I mean,
Um,
on the topic of drivers who have done well from being you, it must, in the same way that it must be terrible for you to see Shifty racing for Flying Lizard. It's like
yeah.
the opposite side. It's like McLaren, Ferrari, kind of. It must be terrible to see him in that sense doing well, but at the same time, it must be nice to sort of see a driver that. Because I mean, I'm sure Shifty will accept the fact, me saying this, despite him being faster than me now. He wasn't the fastest driver at all when he joined. Like
Yes.
he
Well,
was.
we worked very hard. Shifty, I mean, the credit is with Shifty. I mean, he was willing to put the effort in, and he learnt a lot from me. We worked hard, and he became a very good driver.
But I
All
mean,
the credit
but
goes
I
with
mean,
him.
yeah, it was his work, but it was also the team in general, and it must. I mean,
Well,
is it nice for you personally to see someone you've essentially trained Shifty? I mean, look at it that way. He learnt from you, so you've essentially put him into the position he's in now. I mean,
yeah. I
it
mean,
must.
well,
Is it nice to be challenged by someone who you've essentially sort of taught? Is it
I don't mind. I mean, for me, the team is like it's everything. As a driver, I have personal goals, but I've achieved a lot of them. I've won Mugello now. I've won them on. I don't really care too much about championships. They're nice, but I like winning the races. I like the story that goes with it, sort of not just the points and the championship. It doesn't mean a huge amount. I like the sort of human story to
yeah,
it. Um, so for me, the team is everything because I think it's different for a team and a driver. As a driver, you're a person. The stories are nice. As a team, the numbers mean everything. The number of championships you can win, and so it's nice having strong drivers in the team because I enjoy the fact that I can use my other sort of abilities as a driver, not just speed, but sort of racecraft to help
yeah.
the team. I did that at Sunset. I mean, Sunset was an awful drive by me. I ended up costing Ferrari the race, but I mean, I tried to help Fujimi, who's been a
Hey,
revelation this year.
in all fairness, we still got a 2-3-4. It's not the terrible.
Yeah, but we could have had a win there. I mean, that was fun. I
But
don't even
anyway,
think
I
I'd
mean,
say what I did, but that's a low light right there. So Yeah.
You're gonna segue perfectly into that topic shortly enough. But I mean, is there anything you want to add on what you were saying? I mean,
Right.
is
What were we talking? We're talking about Mugello or
I mean,
talking about highlights?
we were talking about highlights. I mean, we mentioned Shifty saying. I mean, I guess essentially Shifty is almost a highlight. You've taken him from.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that year, 2011, that year where we had that. I didn't enjoy 2012, seeing him really suffering and struggling with the Ferrari.
Yeah.
I didn't like that because I think we could have worked through that. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Sometimes, it doesn't all go your way. I'd love to see Shifty back in Ferrari. I mean, I don't know whether it would ever happen, but
Shifty joined Ferrari. There we go. He's back. We'll assume for the future he's back.
okay.
The internet's telling him to do it, but yeah. But I mean, for you, sort of having someone go from being 2 or 3 seconds off the pace to being one of the fastest drivers must be something that, personally, I mean, not something you'd
Yeah,
necessarily
I love the fact that our team could help someone. That's
Well, I
at
mean,
the end of the day, the team is everything. So seeing,
well, exactly, but I mean, it's not something you'd necessarily shout about. You wouldn't go out and say, "Yeah, I made Shifty fast," but I mean,
well, no, but he
Shifty
did that himself.
Shifty became fast because he was with you rather
No,
than.
well, no, Shifty learned a lot from me, but at the end of the day, the effort was with him. He was the guy who put the
Well,
hours.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I was
obviously,
just there to
he couldn't
guide
do it without
him.
him, but it was a mix of. What I'm essentially getting at is that it was your sort of tutelage that mixed with Shifty's desire to be fast enough to do it that essentially came out with where he is now.
I'm I guess I'm humbled to think that I could help someone. I do try very hard to, but then it's down to Shifty as well. I mean, to be fair, it's down to the whole team. Like at the end of the day, it's a team. We're a family. We work together. We win together. We lose together. Every time I win a race, it's for the whole team.
And
It's a
that's what
team.
you're missing out on, Shifty. You bloody
Yeah, you didn't
flying
win.
lizard cheating. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We've gone from highlights,
Well, no,
Magello and.
I have to talk. I should probably mention the championships.
Well, yeah, you should.
In the
We'll go on
highlights.
those before we move on.
Suzuka has always been. I love that track. I've never lost a beautiful track, and that's where I claimed 2012 last year's championship. So that was a pretty special moment. Despite Carlson's talking about guns continually through the whole race.
He knew you were going to win, so he thought he'd have a bit of chat in the background.
Yeah, yes. No, that was a really good race. I mean, I love Suzuka. I love really fast tracks. I'm crazy people like Johnny who like slow tracks. Just speed, exciting, oversteer, Ferrari, passion, love. Ooh.
Horrible chicanes is
No.
all I can think of.
Where?
Suzuka.
Suzuka. What about the first section?
The entire the entire car just slides permanently. That's
Yeah,
what it does.
I love that. That's just.
Yeah, it's
that's
good, but I
what
can't
it
do.
does.
I can do it in style, but I can't drift. I can't do it fast.
Yeah, but that's okay because style is more important than speed.
Well, and there was to live by, children. We do need to keep it going. And it's sad to go from highlights of Suzuka and your love of Suzuka to your lowlights. But is there anything specifically you want to pick up on?
I don't know.
We should have done this in a different order. We should have done lowlights then highlights. But this is how it's gone. So.
Oh, can I mention one more highlight? Because I don't know who will know this. Johnny's the only person who
You're
might.
more than welcome to mention more highlights.
Maple Valley, 2010. There's a highlight for you. I love that. After that race, I felt amazing. I came second, so no win, nothing like that. But do some reading, figure out the backstory for yourself if you.
I'm sure I was racing. Was I not racing then? Because
I know
that Jagsman and someone made me race because I qualified at Catalunya with a tune that wasn't their tune, but they said it was their tune, and I was quite annoyed afterwards. And that was when I
Vengeance.
Vengeance, exactly.
That's the one. Oh, that guy. Oh,
Was that the
don't-
right year?
that's
Am I on the
that's a
right
low
year?
light. Sorry, that's the right year. Yeah, 2010 is when he first raced. Iron Maiden fan.
Shut up, Jam 13 UN. Jam bun.
Although no, because Maple Valley was my first race as V12 RIOT. So there you
Was
go.
it?
Yes, it was.
Jeez, that's a long time
I've
ago.
been in V12 for a long time. I'm proud. V12, best team on Forza.
Hey,
You did.
I started VXL with Johnny, even though you won't admit it.
VXR,
Anyway, you were in VXL. We're moving on.
EVB,
We're moving on.
F4H. No, you've got
Do you,
nothing on.
do you have any? I know you wouldn't want to necessarily highlight your lowlights.
Okay, lowlights,
Is
lowlights.
there
No,
anything
no,
you want to
fine.
mention specifically
I
on
don't
that
want
topic?
to mention lowlights. We got it, but talking about lowlights, Mugello 2010. That's probably one of my worst ever drives. I qualified fifth, I think. Just could not get hold of the car on the track. Struggled all race, finished fifth or something like that. Mugello 2009.
Basically every Mugello that wasn't this year.
2009, I got pole in the race. I lost the lead to Johnny, and then I got taken out by a Peugeot SNM F1. Stephen, who we talked about earlier, he took me out in the chicane. We had a massive stewards inquiry about that. I was livid about that, but nothing. No, no, it was lag apparently. It wasn't. I hate you, Stephen. I don't really. I love you. No, that hurt. 2011 at Mugello. I'm not gonna say that's a low light. That's a highlight because it's the best drive I've ever done.
What, including this year's Mugello?
Yeah. No. Oh yeah, definitely. Mild better. I felt untouchable, and I was untouchable until the internet connection touched me, and I was lagged out. Mugello 2012 was a low light.
Are there any tracks that aren't Mugello that are low
Let's
lights?
talk about let's think. I mean, I've got to think through it. 2010, going through first race, hitting the pit lane, not driving Ferrari, driving a Lola P1 car. Not really fun. That wasn't great. 2011, actually, I did suffer a lot in the first sort of half of the season when I lagged out all the time. Being taken out at Sebring, crashing into Johnny at Catalunya, crashing at New York, being lagged into at Nürburgring, and the race after was Sunset when we were racing against a silly Porsche, and that wasn't very fun, I'll be honest.
In all fairness, anyone who decides New York is meant to be on the calendar. I almost left the series. I almost left the series because of that track, and it was also my best finish in Ferrari. But we were ignoring that because it was.
Well, there you go. It was a good race. No,
the only time I've ever beaten you, and I was still a lap behind Johnny.
I wish that returned to the calendar.
I would like a street track.
Indianapolis last year. It was the only time that Shifty has ever out-qualified me in a Ferrari, and that was because I hadn't done any practice. I just qualified, and then in the race I got past him, and I was battling with Carrera. I got into second place, which I was quite proud of because they were in the roughs back then, so they had like 10, 15 mile an hour on us in straight, maybe even 20. I don't actually remember. But Johnny was gone. But then I got lagged into, and I came third. That was really disgusting. Then the following race, do we have to talk about that? I feel we should.
If you don't want to, I mean, if you want to just pretend it never happened, then.
No, we can't pretend it happened. So Le Mans 2012 is probably the biggest low light of my entire career. I was going for the hat trick at Le Mans, having won it in 2010, 2011. Put in maybe 10,000 miles for this race. The other thing is I spent so much time developing tunes for specific drivers, helping out Born, Speed, Midget, Ruckus, who had just joined Ferrari, because Shifty had just left, which was another. So that was another sort of low point. Anyway, sending them replays, helping them out. We actually got in a position where I think we ended up finishing like 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. We dominated the race, but basically we had a plan. We had a plan where Jimmy's skills was in the Ferrari, that's it as well. We had a plan where I got pole. I was basically Ruckus got through at the start, and then I held up Johnny to help Ruckus get a lead. I did that to the extent where Johnny got so frustrated because he couldn't pass me that he crashed.
I can understand why he might have crashed. Having been blocked by you before, not fun.
Yeah, but let's clear, it's not dangerous blocking, is it?
Not dangerous blocking, just incredibly annoyingly good blocking. And I don't say that as a member of Rizzy who may be biased in any manner at all. I've,
And
I've
this
been
probably,
annoyed with your blocking in the past,
my blocking is
in a
probably
good way.
one of my strongest bits of racecraft, to be honest. Other than overtaking Ricky around the outside of the corkscrew, that's good. No. But in all seriousness, so Johnny was out of the race, and we had a massive lead. It was not really a question of sort of who was going to win. It was 1-2, Ruckus and myself. I was 2 seconds of that quicker than Ruckus, but I sat behind him for the next 2 hours or so hours, just not protecting him because we had no one to protect him from, but just encouraging him, keeping him on track because it was his first race with Ferrari. I wanted to, encourage him, and we were good friends, to be fair. Um, and well, basically, the final half an hour, I decided that it's time, I would overtake and just go off and win the race. So I attack him, not hard because I had so much such a pace advantage I didn't need to. Going down the Mulsanne, he squeezed me into the basically off, the sort of red
Yeah,
on the sides of the Mulsanne,
yeah.
squeezed me off there, and then his wheels were on the red, so he pushed me literally into the barrier. So I had to back out of those, having scraped and lost mirrors on the walls and all that stuff. So that wasn't going well. Then one time I got a run coming out of the second chicane. I got a run going down into Mulsanne corner, and I was on his outside. I was going to hang it around the outside, which was all going well until he sort of just bumped me off the road into the wall, which was, well, I mean, your teammates, you just don't do that, especially when the person's spent so much time trying to help you. You should at least
Yeah.
give the other person room. Well, that's my personal opinion. I mean, obviously there was a huge argument about all this, but I lost about 1,000 feet. I didn't get any damage. I don't know how. Closed it within 2-3 laps, back on his tail again. I actually managed to get into the lead after that, and then going into the Porsche curves, I got through into the lead. I think going into Arnage, and then going straight down to the Porsche curves, I had to defend to the inside because I'd just overtaken. I didn't get a good run, and I I don't know how it happened. I just can't justify what he did. But basically, I broke going into the Porsche curves, and he ended up rear-ending me, giving me quite a bit of damage, which meant it was impossible for me to try and hold on to the victory. He got by and won the race, and never. Well, I have never spoken to him since. I mean, you can interpret it. It's probably if you want to interpret it, you should probably listen to someone else's view. But
I mean, uh, I guess that's sort of the ultimate low light for you from,
well, yeah. I mean, I pride myself in teamwork. The team is everything. The team goes ahead. I will put a lot of. If you're driving for Ferrari, I will help you as much as I can. I will give up wins for you, but
I
in
mean,
treating play,
I don't want to turn this into sort of a, this is, Ruckus did this. Ruckus is incredibly quick. I mean, not necessarily in that race against you. Maybe he wasn't the fastest, obviously, if you're catching him by that extent. But I don't want to say he's not quick. I mean, I've raced with him
oh,
on,
no, at the end of the day, he was leading Le Mans with me. You know,
yeah.
to get in that situation, you have to be a quick driver.
I mean, but I've raced with him on iRacing and R Factor and that kind of stuff. And he's fast, but at the same time, I can't. That doesn't justify sort of. I'm trying to. I want to stay. I'm hoping Michelle's gonna watch this, because he races
Oh
with us.
well, Michelle and I.
But I don't want to. I don't want to vilify Ruckus, and at the same time, I don't want to vilify
Okay.
you. I think everyone could have their own part to play. I feel like Ruckus was maybe a bit eccentric his with his defence maybe, but he's fast. But in that particular race, he should have let you go.
Well, no, it's not even. See, people have said, there were team orders to let me go, and there weren't. I've never asked for that to happen. The only time that there have ever been team orders at Ferrari the only time I ever did them, Shifty helped me a little bit in Nürburgring 2011 to hold off Johnny, and the subsequent race at Sunset, I let him free to take the highest spot on the podium because he was fighting for the championship. So that's the only time. Other than that, I've never ever asked anyone to move over.
Yeah.
People have said at Le Mans there were orders for him to move over, and he ignored them and then tried to defend his position too aggressively. There were no team orders. We were racing for position. All I expected of him was clean defence, because at the end of the day, I don't want to sound arrogant, but with the pace I had over him, I should have. If he was defending fairly, I mean, there was not a lot he could do. At Le Mans, there's so much opportunity, there's so much scope to overtake. I don't. If you're gonna comment on it, you should probably listen to other people who were in the race, like Jimmy, Bourne. I mean, other people who knew what had happened, who were there for the team talk before the race, who were there for the test sessions we did, the replays, etc., etc.
Well,
But I mean, Michelle and I have talked about it a little bit, and I think even if you don't agree with, even if you're not sure what happened, if it had happened to you, if you hear what I'm saying, and I think you can understand my stance on it,
yeah.
How I'm upset about that, especially sort of, it was a chance for me to win 3 Le Mans in a row, which I don't think ever will happen again. I don't think anyone will ever do that. And I don't think I will. I don't have enough time right now. And I think having that taken away is something that will, I wouldn't say haunt me, but it's upset. It is upsetting. It's definitely the low light of my career.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never spoken to Ruckus again. We were good friends, and that hurts as well. Having lost a friend basically through that.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on from the
Yeah.
the sad story that is 2013. It's a new team for Rizzy.
It is, yeah, very new.
Not one that's necessarily, and I can attest to this, not one that's necessarily performed in the early races, but one that's definitely, I hope, going to be a consistent team for Rizzy. I mean, I'm hoping I'm not going to be fired soon, and I hope Noob's not going to be if he turns up. But I mean, how do you see your season going at the moment? I mean, how is this year for you, and how is this year for Rizzy?
It's a very different dynamic, obviously, with a new team. At the end of, so for starters, Rizzy last year was a one-car team. I was the only person driving for Rizzy. They only had one option, so we had to recruit new drivers. The other thing is Ferrari, as a manufacturer, lost a lot of drivers. Halfway through 2012, we lost Shifty. At the end of the year, we lost Midget, we lost Bourne. So we had to go new. Enter Alex, myself, and enter Noob, who was a bit of a minor revelation at the end of 2012. He showed some real pace, and a lot of interest actually from teams like F4H, I believe, have been interested in him.
Yeah.
So
I think VVV were.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Before I left, I'm not sure what the whole deal with them is now, but I mean, he was hot property, on as far as you can be within the Forza community, but
yeah. So with yourself and Noob, that's the Rizzy lineup this year. I'd say that with AF Corso, obviously we had speed remaining, but we lost Bourne. Belter Boy stayed, but we got UNR Dr. Fujimi. Now, Fujimi has been a star this season. I am just overly impressed. He has been a standout performer for Ferrari, and he's sitting third in the championship, 1 point off second. I mean, you can't ask for a lot more than that.
Yeah.
First race, Sebring. It was a chance for us to get 5 in a row. Didn't go well. Didn't go well at all. He
I feel I had my fair share of bad luck at that race. It
yeah,
wasn't necessarily my best. You know,
no,
I know everyone argues that it wasn't necessarily through fault of their own, but I think in that situation, which has been argued in the past, I can argue no fault of my own. But I mean, for you and the rest of Ferrari, it was
it wasn't great.
yeah.
We see, I just didn't have. I haven't had any form all year. Sebring, no exception. We, as a team, we didn't have any form. We didn't do enough winter testing. We were bound to lose. I mean, can't really dress it up as anything else. No, it wasn't a great race. Porsche won. End of story. Moving on to Catalonia. Ooh. Things got worse at Catalonia. No, I couldn't even. I think Ricky
things generally
sent
went
his
downhill
Ferrari to
until
the thing.
about well, until I guess sunset was
Things began at sunset. Yeah, I mean,
Ferrari could have had a win at sunset, which is, despite the fact that it didn't happen, was
it was a turnaround.
positive.
Yeah. So like the third race of the season was in Finian, and I missed that. I had a bit of a break. I came back to sunset literally on the day, so I didn't get to qualify. But personally, I went through the field and I got up to the lead because the Corvettes had a bit of trouble, which is really unfortunate. Nico's actually been a really strong revelation, and Gundam I've been very impressed with coming
Yeah.
back and with such form.
I would argue that they're possibly the team that I least expected. Like of the possible top teams, I mean, I knew Miko was fast from being in VVV with him, but Miko and Gundam have been
definitely
surprising
really
for sure. But
contending. But I mean, Sunset was good and bad. It was a low point, as I mentioned earlier, because I made a mistake, just a tactical error. It's not something I used to do. I'm normally quite switched on with that sort of thing. But I lost the race on Ferrari. There's no sort of, can't really dress that up. Basically, what happened was I got into the lead. Fujimi was second and Bourne was third, I think. And I let Fujimi go to try and go off and win. And then, or just, to try and sit between him and Bourne, to defend him from Bourne a bit. Then Bourne got by me, so I attacked him to get by. Going into turn one, which is the sort of flat out around the pit wall, I went around his outside, and I think I was just so stunned that it worked. I was so shocked that we hadn't crashed that I forgot to brake for turn two, which is a hairpin, and I completely wrote off the car.
yeah, that's not normally a good situation to be in. I mean,
and then Bourne caught Fujimi and passed him, so we lost the race.
that's always been. I feel so annoyed. I mean, I feel like because that was my first ever race with a wheel. I feel like if I hadn't been doing that, I could have beaten Bourne, and essentially because Bourne hit Fujimi at the end, I feel I could have won that. Or Fujimi hit Bourne, whatever.
Well, I feel
I could have won that race. That could have been my first ever win.
if I'd have kept pushing on with the damage, I would have picked up the win when Bourne and Fujimi crashed on the penultimate lap.
Yeah.
So I doubly screwed Ferrari, which I felt actually apologise to you guys. But then obviously we moved on to Mugello.
Mugello being the scene of, despite everything else, even if you don't win the championship this year or whatever,
I'm happy.
It has to be. I mean, you can't complain with that win behind you this year.
No.
I mean, I have nothing to say. I have nothing personally. I have nothing to say on the topic. It is you won at Mugello. I don't know what more needs saying.
There's going to be a beat. Wait for it. There you go. Sorry, I had to sort out some power issue. Anyway, what were you saying?
I was essentially saying that I don't know what to say. There's nothing to. I have nothing to add to what you can possibly say about winning at Mugello. I mean, I didn't get. I personally didn't get to race, so I didn't get to experience your jubilation firsthand. But
I'm ecstatic. I can't even. It's sunk in pretty quickly. It didn't take long to sink in, and I've just been on cloud nine since. I feel uplifted. I feel I've got a bit of passion back as well for racing. I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward
Indy.
to. No, I'm not looking forward to Indy. I'm looking forward to Le Mans. I don't know if I can make Nürburgring, but I'm looking forward to Le Mans definitely. And the other thing is, I suppose I can mention it a little bit. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but the FLMS, I think if things go well, we're planning on entering some cars into another race at some point, which we're going to have an FLMS for the Le Mans.net all-star team, and we're going to have some fun. But we
Well,
will
that'll be interesting. I look forward to the James Johnny Shifty team.
maybe you'll have to wait and see. No, it's really helped. Winning at Mugello has saved my season, possibly saved my FLMS career. Like 18th victory, it's a lot, but it's more than just that number. It's winning it's winning in Italy in front of the Tifosi.
It's
I'm
what you've
so
been
I'll
trying
be
to
honest.
do since you started the series.
It is. I've
You
been saying
started the
that
series purely for
for
that win.
5 years of toil, and I finally done it. I'm set. I'll be just laughing, giggling to myself for years to come.
Well, I mean, from a personal point of view, I just look forward to Indy just because it's invigorated you so or reinvigorated you so much that it to the point where Ferrari can only benefit from what's happened at Mugello, like in general.
Yeah, I think that it will come through. I'll start to get on your case a bit and noob, and I'll get you guys in shape. And I feel driving at Mugello that race day in a couple of hours beforehand when I felt so uncomfortable before, and then going into the race I felt so comfortable. It was back to the old James. I felt so I was comfortable with anyone on my tail, on pressuring me, so consistent, and I felt I had that sort of when you have that edge and it comes back and you can just you know you can do it. It's like an audacity. It's a tenacity. That's what it is. It's just having that tenacity back to really attack and express myself through my driving a bit more.
Would you say that essentially that any hold on, sorry, I need to remember the quote because it seems like a suitable time to have it. Oh, I don't want Bible quotes. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Would you agree with that you at Magello felt that, on a given day, a given circumstance, you think you have a limit, and then you go for this limit and you touch this limit, and you think, okay, this is the limit, and so you touch the limit, something happens and you suddenly can go a little bit further. And with your mind power, your determination, your instinct, and the experience as well, you can fly very high. Said Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, I
And
understand who
on
said
the
that.
anniversary of his,
You had to get that in. No,
I had to have the Senna
touching
reference
the
on
limit.
this day.
I definitely drove faster at Mugello than I had done all year. There's no doubt about that. But I would stop short of saying it's my fastest ever drive. That's still in my mind is Mugello 2011. I don't. I felt pretty untouchable then. I don't think it's as good a drive as it was then. So I won't say it's the best form I've ever had, but I will say it's the best form I've had. Well, I don't know. I had pretty good form at Suzuka last year. I think it's just certain tracks. Sometimes it comes back, but generally, I feel in better shape than I have done for a long time. I feel I can fight for a championship. Not that I really care about that.
So would you say that Mugello this year is the turning point in?
Definitely.
Are you going to win the championship this year?
I'll tell you what. I think for
No, 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 no,
I,
no, no. Let's have no. I'll tell you what. Are you going to win the championship this year?
for for Ferrari, the
No,
turning point.
no, you.
No, no, this I'll get onto that. But for Ferrari and Rizzi. In fact, I'm not sure if the turning point for Rizzi's come. No, it has because I'm back. At sunset, that was the turning point for Ferrari and Rizzi competition. But for me personally, Mugello was the turning point. Yeah,
But
and
would
am I
you?
going to win the championship? I tell you what, Ferrari are going to win the manufacturers' championship as they always do, and Rizzi are going to win the team's championship.
And you heard it here first, folks.
And I'm going to win the driver championship. Yeah,
Woo!
we're going to do it.
It's
No
all
doubt.
good. And, obviously his motivation to win the championship will make all of Rizzi and
My
all of Ferrari
motivation
by
is
default
beautiful, beautiful hails.
just be Ferrari all over. Everything will be Ferrari. Now before I end it, I do have to ask because it was requested by someone, and it wasn't an overtly sexual comment about you.
Yeah, you.
Johnny wants to compare you to jelly babies, but we're not going there.
Johnny wants to compare me
No,
to.
we're not going there. Don't
No,
go there.
what's this? No, go on, ask it. Oh, what is this? Johnny and his jelly baby. Is he going to eat me? Or no? Ugh.
No, we're not
Let's
going
carry
there.
on. Skip.
You know exactly why we're not going there. But I do have to ask, courtesy of I can't remember who we'll realise. Are there any teams aside from obviously excluding Formula One, where there's only one Ferrari team? Are there any teams that aren't Rizzi that you support?
Of course.
Okay then.
Okay, seriously.
Okay, are there any non-Ferrari teams you support
Okay.
in motorsports?
In motorsport, give me a second. I'm I'm a fan of engineering. I mean, I'm doing a degree, obviously, in aeronautics and astronautics. I do enjoy good engineering. I'm I'm keen. I'd say I'm interested in what um, Audi and Toyota do at the moment.
As long as you don't
Um,
say the Delta Wing, that's fine.
no, because if you ask a real engineer if there's any innovation involved in that, there's just not. We're not gonna. I'll rant about that if you. But no, I'm a fan of what Audi have done for Le Mans. They've committed a lot to it, and I respect that. I mean,
Do
they're
you not
very.
do you not find their cars incredible? I mean, they're a nice novelty, but if every Le Mans car was completely silent, I would get pissed off.
Yeah,
I don't like
I
it.
like the noise of the Ferrari. It's the best sounding car in the grid.
It is. I mean, we're saying that
Um,
as a completely unbiased. We're
the
a
other thing is
non-judgmental panel who don't
Lola.
support Ferrari.
I did some work for Lola, work experience with them. So, and I actually helped design on the rear panel. There's a small bump because they changed some of the suspension geometry, and I helped design that a bit. So I have a soft spot with them.
And
But
that was how you blagged your way into the Ferrari garage at Silverstone last year.
I don't know how I did that. I was brilliant. So, I'm good on that.
You just chatted about
I
rear
love how
wings.
they let me sort of just Ferrari were AF Corsa were really relaxed about it. The mechanics just invited me in. They let me sort of take. There was a lot of controversy last year about the rear wing, the gurney strip. A lot of teams were trying to find ways to change the angle, basically, that it was attached to the rear wing. And so Ferrari let me in, and then I was snooping around taking pictures of all their rear wings. They didn't have a problem at all. So I was talking to them for too long. I ended up talking to Olivier Beretta's wife, but the pit lane closed. I had to go out the back, and then I walked over to Aston Martin and asked them about their rear wing, and they basically told me to bugger off. I love the contrast of the Ferrari with the relaxed Italians, and then all of a sudden you go to Aston Martin and it's all secret.
Stiff upper lip.
Yeah,
Stiff upper lip British rear wings. We don't want you screwing around. But it is, I should say it is 3:15 a.m.
yeah, you kept me up. I'm supposed to be on a bike ride tomorrow morning.
You've kept me up. I'm meant to be doing work. But yeah. And do you have anything you want to say? I mean, that's not been covered. Is there anything specifically you want to mention?
Well, I want to mention more than anything that I suppose I've won quite a few races and a few championships, but at the end of the day, it's all teamwork. Like everything I win, I put down to team. Like at the end of the day, even if you're being lazy and not racing, or noobs busy sleeping. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Even if you're not around, it's the team that motivates me to win. And I think the change in team and the fact we hadn't properly molded earlier in the year probably helped hurt. It probably hurt my motivation a lot. But I think that's coming together. We're gelling quite well now, and so it's the team. I want to thank the team a lot. Ferrari means a lot to me, and when we work together and we work so well, I like it. That's all I want to say.
Alright, well
I want to say hi to
sorry?
Speedy. Say hi to Speedy Cakes.
Well, we've said hi to Speedy Cakes. He knows. He
Oh,
knows.
Venom. That's something I want to mention.
Oh.
I like Venom. He's a good driver.
He is a good driver.
Bit
Too
random,
good. Some would say too good.
but there you go. 2 times P1
Um,
champion. He deserved it too.
well, he does deserve a mention at some point. I feel it bad that it's this late.
Yeah.
But yeah. This. Are you done? Is there anything?
Oh,
Nothing
no,
else?
no. Thank you. If you're still watching, then
If you put up with us for this
yeah.
long.
Wow. Ferrari, Mitch. Ferrari. 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 Rah.
So yeah. Thanks a lot to Mr. Thomas, aka V12 RIOT.
Oh, Riot. I think I'm Phoenix Riot. I don't know what's going on.
I have no. I would do the whole follow
Got
me on Twitter thing.
Maynard.
Back up,
Ooh,
Maynard.
wait. No, stop. Thank you to Maynard for predicting a riot because you made the right call and I won New Jelly. I'm so happy about it. I'm done. Haley,
Now that we've got them
my
all,
Ferrari,
of course, Haley.
my Ferrari is
Haley
the
and Rachel is the
best
big thing
car.
that's coming up
Right.
next year. Haley and Rachel, big thing. Yeah. So, so to continue, yeah. Thanks a lot for watching. It's been James Thomas, aka as I was Antigua, who's always there. He's an ever solid figure in James's life, of course. So yeah, it's been our founder and leader, a glorious leader, somewhat like Kim Jong Un, except without the whole
You can't say that.
without the whole killing people thing. Uh, so thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully we will be having a next episode once people's exams are done, once work's out the way. We'll be coming back with the normal pit stop. We'll be doing a recap of all the races we missed. Mugello, Catalunya we missed. Did we miss another one? Infineon. We've got 3 races to recap.
Le Mans soon.
Well, we got 3 races to recap. We got a Indy to look forward to. So it's going to be a big episode, and maybe we'll grab James for that. We'll get his thoughts for that. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. And so yeah, thanks a lot, guys. This has been a special one with our founder and leader. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, and we'll speak to you in a bit.
Ciao.